China is going to be the biggest answer to everything we talk about economics. And you can shake your head, but they're buying 25% of the soybeans that we produce in the United States.
How do we know if our lambs are being sold here in Cologne and elsewhere, going to Superior or somewhere else?
I have 10 Amazon.
Well, a lot of it depends on your marketing system. If you're going through an order buyer or if you're going through a sale barn. If you go through a sale barn, there's no telling where they're ending up at. They could be ending up in New Holland, Pennsylvania, going through another sale barn. If you're going through an order buyer, chances, depending on which order buyer you go through, there's 50% chance of coming to Iowa, 50% chance of going to Illinois.
So if these people want to contact Superior and talk to an order buyer, who would they talk to?
The three that we have down in this area are a guy by the name of Dave Hopkins who bought out John P. Fish's buying station down at Bloomfield. There's Ray Samuel at Fairfax, and there's Dick Reese at Adele.
Is it Fairfax or Fairfield?
Fairfield.
Okay.
And if you're interested in getting those names and addresses,
Is it Fairfax? Cedar Rapids. I didn't know that town.
if you leave,
Rob?
if you leave us those names and addresses, we have the majority of these people's emails. If you left us an email when you said you were coming, we can send you that.
And that would be for the southwest.
Not only for a lot of people from further away, you have to.
And you can talk to Rob about who might be your buying station person specifically. Yes, sir.
What does Superior Farms want us to do as producers to change from the current process or system that we're in to better supply you guys? How do we get you to be successful at 235,000?
I know why you guys both came now.
Oh, I hate going to these things without a livestock guy. I love having a buyer and tell. Thanks, Rob.
Basically, support us by giving us an opportunity to buy your land. And
So work with these buyers here?
work with these buyers and stuff, or work with us directly, depending on the number of lands we have. And just give us an opportunity to help you make a good living. That's what we're here to do, is to help you make a living by us making a living. If we don't cooperate and work with each other, then we're both out of it.
For you to be successful, does that mean we have to grow and that you want to deal with fewer?
I don't want to deal with fewer. I've asked this question before. I'd rather deal with 20 people with 200 sheep than with one guy with 2,000. Simply because you've got a better chance to work with you. So I love the small people. I don't like the big people. They get kind of an attitude that, well, you got to have me, or this is the way I want to be. I like to deal with people that I can help and they can help me.
How do you manage the
Okay,
year?
for those in the front that couldn't hear that, Rob said he would prefer to work with 10 guys with 200 ewes than one guy with 2,000.
I'll think of
But
a
one guy
wild
with
lamb.
2,000 thinks he has plow.
Big part.
One guy with 2,000 thinks he has plow.
I'll think of a lot of lambs for you guys to need. Like mid-year, 100, or I mean, what's ideal for you guys?
When we come into the plant, we buy land from one at a time, or whatever.
But I mean, like if we were going to
But
work
here
directly
we're
with
working
you guys.
logistics. We try to get as close to a truckload of land to come up with what we can. And that's why we have buying stations down here in this area too. We're just trying to fill trucks up.
And a semi-load is 300?
Huh?
What's a semi-load?
Anywhere from 300 to 350, 360.
48,000.
Yeah.
They don't worry about the weight, Nick. It's just a number.
How do you manage the
Yes, sir.
year? And what changes are we going to have to do?
Not very well. We try to stretch the lambs out as much as we can. We try to, Superior's going to try and help people get feeder lambs to come back into this country so that they can, so you're not dealing with just people with your own production. We've got basically a 6-month lambing period from January to June, and then we're trying to stretch that into a 12-month marketing system, which really doesn't work that well in the Midwest. Therefore, over the years, we've had to reach out into Texas and California and into the western states to help stretch that out a little bit more.
So, Rob, you said you knew of bred ewes, right, for sale?
Yeah.
So if you need bred ewes, Rob's got those. I think Superior would like to help people find ewes, find feeder lambs. You've got more contacts than I do relative to who does what, who trades what industry. So So yeah, I don't know that Rob builds barns, but they build tubes. They are also the biggest sheep producer in the state of Iowa. They got about 3,000. Right? About between you and Tyson. Huh?
That's 2,000.
2,000.
Hey, Rob, for the people who aren't familiar, can you give them a quick 101 on how working with an order buyer would work?
Come up here so they can hear better.
I like saying
Or stand in the middle.
Basically, an order buyer, the way most of them work is that you call in there and they can tell you what the market is based on a relationship that they have with you on your land, by past experiences and something like that. We try and give them a market every Friday for the next week, and then they try and buy the land for the next week at that market, and try to put a load of land together to get to it sometime during the close until. The thing we haven't done in the past, the previous owners of our land were willing to risk doing market guaranteeing or market flooring or something like that, which Superior Farms said that they're more willing to do that to help people with financing and growth and stuff. And the Superior folks are more willing to help find feeder lands and stuff where the previous owners weren't willing to do that.
You'll understand what he said on that last point, so that to the extent the Superior is willing to go a little further to help you if you're willing to produce lands and sell to them. Repeat what I understand. Repeat that. That's important to say again.
They're willing to work with some kind of market guarantees or flooring or something on that line, or help you secure used or feeder lands, whatever you may need.
One of the things that Superior has done on the West Coast that we've had quite a bit of success with is we do work with some forward contracting scenarios. And we've offered 1-, 2-, and 3-year contracts to our growers in the western United States, and there's more advantageous terms in terms of kill charges and off-haul credits, etc., for the longer the duration of the contract, and it's based off of the USDA carcass market. So that's how we've done it out there. That, I think, is something that Iowa Land previously probably wasn't as engaged in as we've been on the West Coast, is using the forward contracting scenario. And that provides producers the ability to go back into their lender with a piece of paper that's talking about where their lands go and how they're going to be transacted at that point in time. So that is one of the things that we're doing. And Rob and I had a conversation on the way here today from Des Moines, just talking about what we can do to make the buying stations more successful, how to provide more services for people in terms of if somebody wants to be finding feeder lands, finding use for them, etc. We want to be good partners in the enterprise, and we want to see it grow. We want to see it be successful for all sectors, and we need to be better partners for that to happen, and that's something we're very interested in doing. For those of you guys that don't know, and this is sort of an eye-opener for people at times when we talk about it, yes, we do trade some imported land as well. I'm not going to stand in front of you and say that we don't. Traditionally speaking, we have about $220 million a year in annual sales. Of that, about 30 to 40 million is in imported land. Yes, we trade in it. But first and foremost, we are a domestic land company, and that goes as far as we have outside of Superior Farms that everyone knows that buys lambs, harvests them, and ships them. We also have 2 LLCs that are extremely dependent upon domestic land production. One is with the Sacramento Rendering Company. We're co-owners in Sac Milling, which takes and further processes the byproducts into lamb meal for lamb meal and rice dog food. And the other one is a company in Seattle called Oversea Casing that we're 50% owners of, that takes all of the domestic lamb casings in the United States, freezes them and exports them to China for further processing. So we're extremely committed to the domestic sheep industry, right? But we're also we're woven out further in it than most people realize through some of those things as well. But we're very dependent upon the domestic lamb industry for the business model.
Okay. So, go ahead, Nick.
Due to the tremendous ethnic market increase in the last 10 years, since Superior bought out Iowa Farm, are there plans to change part of that to ethnic appeal more so than what it has been?
That's an interesting question. And
Okay, and a little background. We think of the 3 to 3.5 million lambs that we kill a year in the United States, 1 million go into the ethnic trade, right? Is that too high?
no, we think
So, and that, I agree, that's really taken off in the last 10 years.
And that's an interesting question, and it could be about as long as the question that you had about why prices have changed as much as they have. The California facility and the Denver facility both have halal slaughtermen in place, so all lambs are harvested in accordance with halal ritual or halal law, so they can go that direction. I used to run the California facility. I know that we sell quite a few carcasses in the LA area and also in the San Francisco area each week for that ethnic trade. We also sold a lot of offal products that direction, livers, hearts, kidneys, etc., that went into that trade. There's a couple of ways to look at the ethnic trade. A lot of it disappears off the radar. When we say there's 1 million lambs that aren't going through federally inspected facilities, they're heading east and they're either being processed through state-run facilities, or some of them get hog-tied and tossed in the trunk of a car, and Lord only knows what happens to them after that.
That's the way Nick has it.
Okay, fair enough. So with that, yes, we have to be conscious of what's happening inside the ethnic channels. And we have to try to avail ourselves the marketing opportunities inside of that as it happens. We're also acutely aware of the fact that successive generations will become more Americanized, if you will. So instead of buying the lamb and hog tying it in the trunk of their car, probably as long as we keep lamb in front of them and we keep lamb on their dinner table, their successive generations are going to start going to Hy-Vee and buying it instead of going into somebody's ranch and killing it themselves. But we've got to keep lamb in front of them so that it doesn't fall off of the radar for that to happen. We actually anticipate some of that to roll back into much more traditional channels or much more of the federally inspected channels further out. You look at the demographics of that population and their birth rate. They have a much higher birth rate than we do. You know, they're averaging over 3 where we're averaging over 1. So there's a lot of lamb consumers out there, and there's a lot of additional lamb consumers being born as long as they have access to that product. We need to be able to produce enough product that they want to continue eating it, they remember to continue eating it, and then we hope, and hope is not a strategy, I realize that, but we hope that that rolls back into more traditional channels with successive generations. But we've got to keep the industry together long enough to get there.